One of the most evil men of Hitler's inner circle was Heinrich Himmler, who was the head of the SS. Many SS members were more loyal to Himmler than they were the Nazi dictator, and this made him a dangerous friend to Hitler. He was a man who was responsible for the deaths of millions, as his SS officers and men staffed the concentration camps, and they committed scores of war crimes. If Himmler had not died before being brought to trial, it is certain he would have been executed at the Nuremberg trials for crimes against humanity. But what is not as well known about the Reichsfuhrer-SS is that he had a secret mistress that bore him 2 children. To many people in Germany, he was married to a woman named Margarete, who became rather senior in the German Red Cross, but the couple had become estranged and Himmler would see a much younger woman in secret. But what is the story of the secret mistress of Heinrich Himmler? Join us today as we look at this, and to support our channel, please make sure to subscribe. Hedwig Potthast was born on the 5th of February 1912 in Cologne, and she had a rather normal upbringing. Her father worked inside of Cologne and owned a business, but following her exams at school she became a secretary. She spoke a number of foreign languages, and after her training she worked in Koblenz. Around this time Heinrich Himmler met his future wife, Margarete Boden, in 1927, but they then married in July 1928. The couple would have the following year their only child, a daughter named Gudrun, but Himmler was constantly away from his family and was always busy on Nazi Party business. Due to the huge amount of responsibility and roles Himmler had inside of the Third Reich, this placed a strain on his relationship with Margarete, and the couple grew estranged and would only unite for social occasions to keep up appearances that everything was okay. They did not want many people to believe they had problems in their marriage, but Margarete tried her best to entertain other wives of key Nazis, but she wasn't the most popular. She had conflicts with the other wives, and Lena Heydrich violently hated her. She was described as a narrow-minded, humourless woman. However, Himmler would then stray from his wife. Through a friend, Hedwig Potthast met Himmler, and in 1934 she found herself working inside of the Gestapo headquarters on Prinz Albrechtstrasse in the German capital. But after a number of years, she then became Himmler's private secretary, and she would help him perform his duties and organise his day. Hedwig's arrest record at the end of the Second World War is rather interesting, and it's said, she stated that she supervised Himmler's private chancellery and that her work was in no way connected with his SS activities. But the pair would have an affair, and it was said at Christmas 1938 they told each other they loved each other. They had tried to keep a friendship, and they then began to commit adultery, and Himmler's wife would find out about the affair in February 1941, despite the fact it had gone on for some time. Margarete felt completely humiliated that she had been usurped in her husband's affections by the much younger Hedwig, who was his mistress, and Hedwig's parents shunned her affair with the head of the SS. They turned their backs on her, but she had a number of friends who were the wives of top-ranking Nazis. Lena Heydrich, who it was mentioned hated Himmler's wife, became her friend, as did the wife of Martin Bormann, Hitler's secretary. It was clear that she was ingratiated with the top Nazis, and she would even at some point live in Berchtesgaden in Bavaria, the site of Hitler's Eagle's Nest and Berghof. It's possible that when Himmler was summoned to the Berghof, he would see his mistress in the final years of the Second World War. But their affair produced 2 children, a son named Helga, who was born in February 1942, and also a daughter named Nanette in July 1944, who was born in Berchtesgaden. Himmler would then, following this, ask for a loan from the Nazi Party Chancellery of 80,000 Reichsmarks, despite the fact the war was going on, and it had turned against the Germans, and Himmler then spent this money building a house for his mistress. But as a mistress of the former head of the SS, a high-ranking Nazi and war criminal, she was arrested and interrogated, and her arrest report offers an interesting account of her relationship with Himmler. It says, an attachment developed which eventually led to a serious love affair. She left her job in 1941 to lead a life of a loyal, devoted mistress, and bore 2 children to Himmler in the years that followed. The alliance was not legalised by marriage, and only Himmler felt that divorce might result in his wife's death, as the latter had been very ill since the birth of her only child. She remained at Berchtesgaden until just before the Allied occupation. The last time Hedwig saw Himmler was during the week ending 22nd of March 1945. At that time, Himmler was confined to a bed in a hospital at Hohenlinchen near Berlin, suffering attack of the Grippe or flu. Whilst visiting him, she encountered Dr. Felix Kirsten, a massage specialist who had been treating Himmler for years. Dr. Kirsten told her to call upon him if she ever needed any help. This message was intercepted. While she lived in Berchtesgaden, she also used to receive daily telephone calls from Himmler. She presumed that these calls came from Berlin, but is not certain. The last call came from him on the 19th of April 1945. As usual, he discussed only personal matters over the phone, although he mentioned the fact that the situation was getting more difficult every day. Before saying goodbye, he promised to call again the following day, but she said she never spoke to him. A letter from Himmler arrived the same day, however was delivered by one of Himmler's staff officers. It contained the usual personal messages, but ended with another phrase about the difficulties and the hope that God would protect her, the children and Germany. The letter gave no hint as to Himmler's plans and directions for her. She said positively that this was the last word, direct or indirect, she received from him. She believed the arrest of Himmler was true and offered no opinion as to Himmler's whereabouts, and was deeply concerned when it was suggested that the arrest of him might not be true. She thought he might be hiding somewhere, trying to save something for Germany. She does not believe he fled to another country, and she claims that he never gave any indication of having any plans in case of a German collapse. The arrest report then said, when the Allied advance threatened Berchtesgaden, she moved with her children, and subsequently to another address, where this interrogation took place. After repeatedly protesting that she had burned all her letters from Himmler, she finally admitted she had only burned a small portion of them, and she could not bear to destroy anything so precious to her. She states that Himmler never discussed politics or SS activities with her, and that she had been completely uninformed on those matters since leaving her job. She considers Himmler an idealist with tremendous faith in Germany and in the Führer. She believes that everything he did was for the sake of Germany. He never enriched himself and kept valuable presents, but gave them to the SS. His only property is a house, which he brought on a mortgage and paid off. Himmler was privately opposed to the continuation of the war against the Western Allies. He attributes the fact that England and the US fought Germany to Joachim von Ribbentrop's ineptitude, and believes that another foreign minister might have avoided such disaster. This arrest report from the 22nd of May 1945 shows a lot about Hedwig Potthast and Himmler's relationship. She tried to distance herself from her lover, as she probably knew and had information about the crimes of the concentration camps. She later, after the war, married and took her husband's name, but she was found interestingly living with the wife of Oswald Perl, the wife of another Nazi SS war criminal. It is believed that she was also in close contact with Karl Wolff, a former best friend of Himmler who escaped prosecution. Hedwig Potthast died on the 22nd of September 1994, at the age of 82. Hedwig Potthast was the mistress of Heinrich Himmler, who usurped his wife in the affections of the head of the SS. She was in love with a man who was responsible for the deaths of millions, and who was in control of the concentration camps. She claimed she did not know much about his work, and she would refuse to answer questions about Himmler and his work after the war. She knew that if she mentioned lots, then she possibly could have been implicated, but her story is one which is very interesting, and the fact she was in love with one of history's most evil war criminals, whose name causes a chill down the spine, is rather captivating. Thanks for watching. To support our channel, please make sure to subscribe, and once again, thank you so much for watching.